I'm Irshad Manji, founder of the Moral Courage Project. And our mission is to cultivate a community of certified moral courage mentors. Mentors who will have the skills to teach others in the communities that they're passionate about how to communicate productively across disagreements, divisions, and these days, even mutual disgust. High ambition, I know, but necessary. I'll explain in a moment why it takes what we call moral courage to do all of that. But first, let me share a quick personal story with all of you. So over the holidays, I was unpacking a bunch of boxes that I had not dealt with since moving back to New York City. And in one of those boxes, I came across this well-worn note. And the note, I remember when I wrote this note, it was at an education conference that I was keynoting, probably 6-7 years ago now. And I attended a breakout as part of that conference. And we were asked, what are you most struggling with right now? My answer was, I'm struggling with the difficulty so many of us have with moving beyond intention to impact. You know what I mean? You want to do something. You have the best of intentions to see it through. And then life takes over, like quickly. And suddenly the intention dissipates along with the possibility for impact. And I remember I wrote that this is what I'm struggling with, not for myself, but because I have been working on teaching moral courage in an impactful way for the last 15 years. And so I knew as I was writing that sentence, I'm struggling with the difficulty so many of us have in moving beyond intention to impact. I knew that I had to teach moral courage, not as some noble theory or, massive idea, but rather as something practical, doable, relatable. Tools, tools, tools. That's what the Moral Courage Project has now become. It is a project that offers strategies and tactics to those who want to both understand and be understood. I also know, though, folks, that tools need to be contextualized. They're part of a framework based in the research that I've been doing over the last 15 years. And I've come to appreciate that tools work best when the people using them understand the why behind the how. And this brings me to defining moral courage for you. Popular culture defines moral courage as speaking truth to power. But there's a problem. Popular culture also pushes the narrative that power only really exists out there. In the corporate, in the corporate captains, in the media moguls, and the tech titans, in the police, in the protesters, in the politicians. In other words, the system. You don't have any power. I don't have any power. The system has all the power. That's how popular culture frames speaking truth to power. That's far too simplistic. Because the reality is that we don't just live in the system lives in us. We all have a primitive part of the brain. I call it the ego brain. It's the home of the ego. And you'll see, I don't mean ego in some kind of a mystical or self-helpy way. I mean it as a neurobiological reality. The ego makes all of us feel more stressed, more fearful, and more defensive than we even mean to be when we encounter points of view that dramatically differ from our own and challenge our own. And in an environment like the kind we have today, social media, legacy media, sort of feeding the biases of their subscribers, political sectarianism, which means politics as the new religion. Given all of these factors and more, our ego brains are constantly primed for outrage, which is why it's so easy to feel like our very humanity is being attacked when all that's happening is we're being disagreed with. So in an us versus them environment of the kind we have today, moral courage means something more specific than merely speak truth to power. It means first, speak truth to the power of the ego brain. And the truth we need to learn to speak to it is, I respect you, ego, you exist for a reason, but that doesn't mean I have to be manipulated or bullied by you in this moment. I'm not going to be your bitch. I'm going to respond to what is happening in front of me rather than react to it. And that includes responding to points of view that challenge my own. And by learning the skills of moral courage, we actually wind up hearing points of view that ultimately, this is key, ultimately allow us to be heard. You see, because what you're doing is you're lowering emotional defenses. By hearing your other, you are lowering their emotional defenses so that you in turn can be heard, which you wouldn't have a fighting shot of doing if you didn't lead by listening. So you can see this is counterintuitive, but it's research-backed. And this is what makes the moral courage method of communicating both unique and worthy of being taught well beyond one classroom or, one cohort. That's why the team and I have launched the Moral Courage Mentor Certification Program. Now, I just mentioned the team. I think since writing this note to myself and today, I think I've got the makings of a team that can help us all get there. So now I want to introduce them real quick. We have Jennifer Richmond. She's the one with the earphones. And by the way, if it wasn't for Jennifer, we wouldn't be having this live stream today. She said to me, Irshad, we're getting so much interest in the mentor certification program and lots of questions as a result. People need to hear from you. And I said, Jen, we have a great website, moralcourage.org. We put so much thought into that website. People can go to the website to learn everything they need to know. She said, Irshad, websites are bloodless. You can have the prettiest website, which we do, but you still need to humanize this. Let's have a live stream and let people hear from you directly. That's why, folks, she's our coordinator of community. And alongside Jen is Allison Gerard. Allison is the director of education and training. And her background, her scholarly background, is the behavioral sciences. She has, managed teams of researchers. She's managed research in labs. And she's the first to admit she is a neuro nerd. Which is why, by the way, she was taken aback by a question that she recently got from somebody who's interested in applying to the certification program. And the question was, what's in it for me? And Allison was like, what? What's in it for you? This is fascinating stuff. You're going to grow. You're going to learn. And I'm like, Allison, the fact of the matter is that everybody is pulled in a gazillion directions. So yeah, people need to know, what will becoming a certified mentor do for them as much as for the communities that they care about? So I want to answer that question right now. Ultimately, I think what we're talking about here is professional development, skilling up. I'm reading in report after report that emotional intelligence, empathy, agility, these are no longer considered soft skills. Thank God, because honestly, I think applying the label soft to these skills trivializes them. These are actually power skills. And the workplace is beginning to understand that. And so, one of the things I am coming to appreciate is that in this drive to create inclusive workplaces, inclusive can't simply mean demographic inclusion. It also has to mean inclusion of different viewpoints. In other words, people are increasingly expecting their workplaces to be respectful. And respectful means hearing different points of view without scorning and shaming and humiliating. And when we create those kinds of environments, we increase trust and decrease anxiety. So you can see how learning the skills of communicating productively across divides is a professional development exercise that no matter who you are, you can be an employee of a company, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be an educator, as I know so many of you are. That certification telegraphs that you are able to bring down the noise and help create a healthier environment. Now, this website, this is the website where, I said to Jen, people can just come to the website. It's all there. And she's like, no, dude, they need to hear from you. So I'm taking a both and approach. Yes, you're still hearing from me. And I'm going to take you through the website in a way that will impress upon you that even after this call, you can read everything that we have on the website in order to get many of your questions clarified. And then beyond that, you'll be able to come to the January 25th info session that both Jen and Allison will be co-hosting. All right. So as you can see, at the top of the landing page, we say through our nonprofit, get certified as a moral courage mentor. So all of this is happening through the nonprofit arm. It's called the Moral Courage Project. And it's precisely because it's nonprofit that we can keep the tuition less than half of what you would normally be paying for other leadership-based certification programs. Now I'm going to scroll down. And I just want you to understand that under, this banner, Certified Moral Courage Mentors Will, we give you a taste of what is expected of you as a moral courage mentor, as well as what the opportunities here are, such as the opportunity for continuing education, such as, where appropriate, earning money for the mentorship that you provide as a moral courage professional, such as networking at the local, national, and over time, global levels to learn from your fellow moral courage mentors. And as you can see, the tuition is $3,500 US per individual. Now, as you can also see, I have raised the money for a limited number of scholarships, and I'll get to what you'll need to do in order to apply for a scholarship. We'll get to that in a second. But first, what you need to know before all else is that in order to be eligible to apply, just to apply to the certification program, there is a prerequisite. You have to take my introductory online course, which is called Diversity Without Division. And in the K-12 version of the course, the subtitle is, educators, parents, and students, introducing the moral courage method to educators, parents, and students. The non-K-12 version, which is for everybody else, you're going to be introduced to the moral courage method of communicating across divides. Now, you can see here the banner, the button that says Learn About Irshad Manji's online course. So click that, and up will come more information about the prerequisite, meaning this course. So our certification program builds on the online course Diversity Without Division. And the reason we're asking you to take the course before applying is actually to protect you as much as it is to protect us. Let me explain. If you're going to be enrolling in a program that is roughly 6 months in length, now very, very part-time to be sure. We're not talking about, quitting your job and enrolling in this program, not at all. It's very, very part-time. It's like an executive education course in that sense. But you want to be sure that you are up for it, that you are fascinated enough, intrigued enough, inspired enough by the moral courage method of communicating, that you want to devote several hours over the next 6 months in the training. So this course will help you determine how serious you want to be about taking the certification training. And in turn, that protects us. Look, the last thing I want is for folks to enroll, apply first, get selected, and then kind of flake out in the middle of it. To be blunt, that would be a disaster, because you've taken seats away from people who were serious. And so we want to vet the people who tell us that something like this really is for them. And taking and completing the online course is a key way of vetting who is serious and who loves the work, but the course is enough on its own for them. So let me scroll down a little bit more. And about the course itself, it's on demand, it's pre-recorded, and it's self-paced. So you can take it on your own terms in your own time. That said, folks, I want you to remember the application window for the certification program for this first cohort is March the 18th. Now that's exactly 2 months from today. It sounds like a long time, 2 months. It's not. So please make sure that you take the online course in enough time to then decide, number one, if you want to go further by applying for the certification program. And if you do, giving yourself enough time to then complete a thoughtful application. I say, right, in the summary about the course, that depending on how you work, it'll take about 5 to 9 hours to complete. And you can do it all in one sitting, or you can take breaks between modules. We've priced the course very reasonably at $99 US. And as we say, this is a wise investment to make before you spend $3,500 on the deeper dive, or before you apply for a scholarship so that someone else is paying. the $3,500 on your deeper dive. Now, we have a button on this page where you can enroll in the online course. So click that button, and up will come the landing page of Diversity Without Division, introducing the moral courage method of communicating across divides. The landing page tells you what you're going to learn, and therefore what this course will also introduce you to be teaching other people as well. And I want to be very, very clear here. Educators, you've heard me say that there is a K-12 version of this course. And Jennifer is going to put that link in the comment section right now. But I'll quickly bring it up on screen for all of you so that, again, whoops, I thought I could. Hold on. Okay, I think I know why this is not happening. It's because I have not designated this particular website to be shared in this live stream. So regardless, Jen, if you will put that link up, the K-12 course link for our K-12 educators in this live stream, it is that version that you will want to take. Let me add, if you wind up enrolling in the non-K-12 version, that's perfectly okay. The content is actually the same. It's just that the supporting materials in each of these versions is slightly different, because in K-12, we're addressing, students, your students. And in the non-K-12 version, we're addressing you as professionals. So actually, you could take either version, depending on, I'm talking to educators now, depending on whether this is something you want to be teaching your students, or whether this is something for now that you personally and professionally want to be growing from. So again, don't worry, K-12 educators, whichever version you enroll in will work for you. And for those who are not K-12 educators, be sure to enroll in the course that this button on the prerequisite page takes you to. Okay, that then takes me back to the website. All right, so now you've heard more about the online course, which again is a prerequisite. Now let's get to the meaty stuff, really meaty stuff, and that is the FAQ page, right? And here we have posted answers, not just to questions that we imagine you will have, but actually we've updated the FAQs multiple times since we went live with the website based on more questions that people are asking us. So for example, what's expected of me if I'm selected as a mentor candidate? All right, so we give you an overview of what would be expected of you. And then we started hearing from people saying, but I need more. Dates of the training, the phases of the training, what exactly I'm going to be learning. Perfect. That's why we have now given you all of that in this hyperlink. Read details about the schedule and each phase of the training process. And we've also made this document downloadable. So that way, you can take it with you, whether you print it out or whether you keep it on your desktop. You can take it with you. And you can see we're super specific about dates. These are all, of course, 2022, as we indicate in the title, Spring Summer 2022 cohort, right? We also indicate the rough number of hours that you should expect to set aside in order to complete the work. We tell you what phase 1 is. We tell you what phase 2 is. Phase 2, by the way, is a boot camp, an in-person boot camp that you'll be attending, assuming you're selected as a mentor candidate, and that you'll be attending with me and the team. So we've been very sort of attentive to the fact that, this stuff can be intense. And so we want to give people a break. So you'll get a 1 week break in between. Phase 3, we're going to give you an even more practical, way of refining what you have learned as a moral courage mentor so far. And phase 4 is a capstone project, a final project in which you will apply your training to the real and messy world of being human. For example, and you'll get guidance from us. It's not like we're saying, okay, go figure it out and, let us know how it turned out and let us know by this deadline. No. Every step along the way, the Moral Courage team will be guiding you. Allison, our Director of Education and Training, will be holding office hours. If those office hours don't jive with your schedule, you can always reach out to her about setting up alternate office hours. So again, this is a team effort. And one of the things that you might think about doing as your capstone project is the workshop that you will see me teaching in the online course. You may want to teach that workshop. If you're, again, K-12 educator, that may be what you want to do for your capstone project, teach it at your school. If you're not an educator, you're a professional, you may want to teach that workshop in your employee resource group, one of many that your company may have. Or if you're not affiliated with either a company or a school, you're, an individual who just wants to have an impact in the community and wants people to learn how to both understand and be understood, you can hold that workshop at your public library. And just so you know how far ahead I'm thinking on all of this, one of the Zoom calls I had this morning was with the CEO of the Urban Libraries Council, in which I was cultivating her buy-in to have libraries across the country host moral courage workshops. So just know that we are here to help you make your capstone project and everything about your training a practical reality. And of course, we welcome more of your ideas as well. I'm not going to go through the entire FAQ with you. Again, you can do that on your own, but we answer questions like, what if I just want to take the course? I'm not yet sure if I want to be a certified mentor. Perfectly fine. Again, you can read our answer, but the bottom line is that's perfectly cool. It's a win-win. You'll grow from taking the course anyway. So, it's all good. How will applicants be selected? If I'm not accepted this time around, may I apply again? Absolutely, you can. And by the way, as we say in our answer to this one, that we will actually be in touch to explain how you can improve your application for next time around. You see, so again, every step along the way, the Moral Courage team is wanting to ensure that this is doable, because this is not a dream. This is a series of deeds that we need to carry out. And that's where the impact is going to come from, right? The world is full of dreamers. We're interested in working with doers, not just dreamers. And that brings me to a final question that I want to address about the scholarships. So as I say, we do have the funds for a limited number of scholarships, and and to be considered for one, you will have to fill out the main application like everybody else. And then on top of that, you'll submit 2 letters of reference and your own personal thoughts on how you plan to leverage the certification to influence culture change in your community. Which brings us to the button at the bottom, which is apply now. Don't worry, simply by clicking it, you're not obligated to apply now. It just means now let's look at what it will take to apply. for the program. And you can see that we have all of this information about your application requirements, right? We're, again, as specific as we know how to be, about even how to name your files, the files that you're going to be uploading as you answer each of our 3 big questions. And for scholarship applicants, we specify that your referees need to provide their email addresses and their phone numbers, and here's what they're going to be addressing in their reference letter about you. Share with us how you know that this applicant is a doer, someone who gets things done and not just a dreamer. It comes back to the need for impact. I cannot begin to tell you how strongly I believe the time for being inspired is over. It's come and gone. We don't need more inspiration. We need tools, tools, tools for how we apply the skills that we need to learn to communicate in psychologically healthy ways across disagreement, division, and mutual disgust. And then when you're ready to apply, you click on Apply Now, and that will take you to the actual application where you can see we have functionality for you to upload your files. Remember, we will have already explained in the application requirements how you even name your files. So, we can easily navigate what you are sending to us. And for people who frankly aren't great writers or don't like to write, or maybe, they're young and prefer to submit video instead, for 2 out of the 3 questions you're going to be answering, we allow you and encourage you to submit video. You'll see why when you go through the application process or the requirements, why one of them requires a written reflection. And it's not, if you finish the online course, your answer for that written reflection will actually come directly from something you've already done in the online course. So it's not going to be an overly heavy lift. And then for scholarship applicants, you can see where we say that you can submit either your written reflection, your own written reflection about how you're going to leverage your certification to influence culture change in your community. You can submit written or video, but for your referees, your references, we're going to want to get written letters from them. There is no fee for applying, none. So I hope that each of you will consider seriously, number one, whether something like this will advance your own psychological health, because you're learning how to not be part of the noise. You're learning how to transcend the noise, the chit-chat, the us against them. And in turn, you're learning how to help other people transcend the noise so that they become part of the solution as well. So I want you to think about, will this advance your own psychological health? Number one. And number two, and again, don't be shy about this. Will this advance your own professional aspirations? And if you can answer a resounding yes to one of those two, I think this training program is for you. But obviously, you'll be the judge. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to Allison. And Jen, you can stop the screen share. I'd like to turn it over to Allison to see, Allison, have we had any sort of patterns of questions that have come through?
Oh, yes. Okay. So prerequisite online course is in the chat. We've got that. Comments mostly about the deadline, March 18th. Not a lot of questions right now.
Okay, let me just say about that deadline. We actually had it we had an original deadline that was much earlier than that. And then a number of educators came to us to say, yeah, this doesn't cohere with our teaching schedule. And so we had a number of educators basically inform us about dates that would work both for public and for independent school teachers. And so the dates that you see in those details that we've now posted should work with your academic calendars. And the other quick thing I'll say while I have it on the brain is that if you, quote, miss this application deadline, don't worry. There will be another cohort later on this year. And so you can always work towards that deadline. We don't yet know what that deadline will be because we're still getting all the pieces in place for the first cohort. But we do aim to have at least 2 cohorts a year. So again, feel free to be part of a later cohort if the first one doesn't work for you. All right.
Irshad, I did have one question come in about the number of people in the first cohort.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah. So, we're trying to make this manageable for all concerned. Since this will be our inaugural cohort, we're going to cap the number at 10. Assuming things go pretty well with the first cohort and our experience in, running the program, and I think they will, we will increase that number in the second cohort to 15. Now, here's my intention. Some of you, as members of either cohort, will really stand out. Some of you will be rock stars. And you may even be ready to teach cohorts of your own starting in 2023. Maybe. Obviously, that is a hope. It's not an expectation, and it's certainly not an obligation. But the hope is that we can dramatically increase the size of cohorts and have different cohorts being led by alums of the certification program, right? So I think if we start with 10, then increase to 15, and again, assuming we've got all of the mechanics nailed down as well as I think we can, maybe we go to 25 in the first cohort of 2023. And maybe at the same time, there will be 2 or 3 individuals who now are in a position to teach cohorts of their own. This is where I want to bring it all back to one of the reasons I think the certification will matter to your own professional development, whoever you are. Remember, I pointed out that after being certified, you can take these skills and bring them back to your company, to your school, to your nonprofit organization, to your religious congregation, to your condo board, to anything that you are a part of where people need to learn healthy ways of collaborating. And again, given the anxiety in which so many of us are steeped today, I have a feeling there will be no shortage of places where you can bring these skills, right? So it may even be that after you're certified, you can create your own cohorts in the organizations that you're already a part of. And you can lead those cohorts for those communities. So think about cohorts, not just in the sense of who we at the Moral Courage Project are teaching, but also think about cohorts that you could be teaching within the communities that you're already a part of.
Irshad, there's one more I want to call out. Kevin asked, when will the $3,500 be due?
Right.
Is it due when you submit your application or at a later date?
At a later date. And this brings us, Jen, could I ask you to share the website once more?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Let me just.
For the Thinkific course?
No,
For
for Moral
.org?
Courage, moralcourage.org. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hold on.
Okay, great. I'm logging onto it myself as well. Okay. Jen, can you confirm that everybody can see or should be able to see the website now?
It's coming up. It should be in the chat for everyone, as well as the prerequisite courses too. Yep.
Right. Okay. Now, Kevin, I think your name was, and everybody else, go back to the FAQ. And in the FAQ is the question, in the FAQ is the question, how did you calculate cost of tuition? Okay, no, that's not where the answer is that I want to give you. Hold on a second. There is somewhere, Kevin. Oh, yes, here I see it. Yep. Under how will applicants be selected? Okay. If you click on that question, we obviously answer that question. And then we say, please note these key dates. So March 18th, the application window closes. By March 30th, the selection of the mentor candidates is finalized. By March 31st, all applicants are notified of our decision. And then April 1st to April 15th, tuition is paid in full, or a payment schedule is set up. And if you need to set up a payment schedule, we can accept 4 payments of, a certain amount, $895, plus a one-time processing fee of $20. And that's because the platform that we're going through will charge us that amount for setting up the payment schedule. So again, these sorts of questions are definitely addressed in the FAQ. And of course, if you have more questions beyond that, which are not addressed, that is where the January 25th info session that Jen and Allison will be co-hosting will be your next opportunity to get those questions answered and clarified. Incidentally, somebody I know will already be, somebody whom I know will already be applying to the certification program for cohort 1. He asked me the other day a really great question. He said, I know that, my workplace is not going to pay for me to do this training. Some schools might for their educators, some companies might for their managers and employees. I know my government agency where I work is not going to, cover this cost. But I see this as an investment in my ability to create a small business where I can then, teach moral courage, the skills of moral courage in my community. Will you issue receipts that I can then use as a business expense? That was such a great question. And the answer is yes. So again, we're thinking all of this through to make sure that the practicalities are in place to make this doable and desirable for each of you, whatever circumstances you find yourself in. And again, I'm not for a moment suggesting that, it's a no-brainer. Do the certification. No, it's not a no-brainer. You've got to think it through. Think, will my psychological health improve? Think, will my professional ambitions be advanced as a result of getting certified? Think, do I want to help other people be part of healing the divides in my society? If the answer to any one of those is a resounding yes, meaning a hell yes, that's when you know that this is something you should consider applying to. If the answer to any one of those is maybe, I'd say don't, because it's going to be work. The application is work. Applying for a scholarship is work. The 8-week course that comprises the first of the 3 big phases of the training and that Allison will be teaching, let me assure you, neuro nerd that she is, it's going to be work. So be clear and confident with yourself that this is something you really not just want to do, but need to do.
Irshad, I have a question from Margaret. When you were reviewing the first FAQ that had the link to the document that shows the phases, we weren't able to see that on the screen. Can you show that again? So if
sure. And I hope this time you can see it. And if you can't, again, it may be the limits of the StreamYard technology, but let me try again. Okay, so Allison or Jen, can you tell me if you're now seeing the FAQs on the screen?
No, you've got to share the screen again, Irshad.
I've got to share the screen again. Okay, that's called human error. So it's not the limits of StreamYard, it's the limits of Irshad. Okay, so
I'm going to put it in the, I'll put it in the, that PDF is going in the links right now.
Okay, excellent. So Margaret and everybody else, just know, and again, you can type in moralcourage.org in your browser, call up the website, click on the FAQs. You'll see that there's only 4 tabs in the top navigation. FAQ is one of them. Click on that. Scroll down just a little bit where you begin to see the various questions we answer. The very first question will be, what's expected of me if I'm selected as a mentor candidate? Click on that. You'll see 4 bullet points, and then under those bullet points will be the details of the schedule and the themes and topics in the training. Click on that. That is where you will get to the PDF. I want to remind you, as you go through the PDF, you may have more questions. Those are questions that are best directed to Allison, our Director of Education and Training, since she is taking the lead on creating the curriculum and the coursework. And again, January 25th, we'll put the link for that info session in the comments before we sign off tonight.
I actually even put it there now.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Very good. By the way, folks, again, sometimes I find, I'll chalk this up to human error as well, that I copy a link that is in a chat or in a comment, and I try to transfer it onto an email so I can just email myself that link. And for whatever reason, you're looking at her, it doesn't work. So please know, you can always email yourself, Allison, and Jen. And Jen, if you would please put each of your email addresses in the comment, and just please write, everyone, their email addresses. Those addresses are also in the FAQ. Actually, Allison's email address is in the FAQ. At the very bottom, you'll see it says something along the lines of, if you have additional questions, reach out directly to our Director of Education and Training, Allison Gerard, and we give her email address there.
All right. There's a call out. They can see your dog in the background there.
My dog? Oh, Jen's dog.
Yeah.
He's our mascot.
The mascot.
I love that.
Sleeping.
I love that.
All right. I think there was one more question that would probably be good for you to answer. And it's if someone enrolls in the course and, you know, you've already said that be very sure you want to enroll in this course. What will be the guidelines if someone has to pull out for circumstances that they don't foresee in their lives?
Yeah. So in the FAQ, we answer the question, are refunds available? And we say, under certain circumstances, they'll have to be. Those circumstances could include, a health crisis. God knows, in this era, that's always possible. Every case will be different, so we'll have to take it on a case-by-case basis if you do need to pull out. There's one thing, again, I'm going to be very, very upfront about, so there are no unpleasant surprises. I don't want to reward flakiness. I can't begin to tell you in the 15 years that I've been doing this work, how often people say, I'm so inspired. And then they sign up to do something. And then life, normal life, not extenuating circumstances, normal life takes over. And they drop out. I will remind everybody, in these next and last 20 years of my life, I want to devote my time, spend my time with doers and not just dreamers. And so while I absolutely have compassion, empathy for people with unexpected circumstances flung their way, totally get that. What I will not be interested in doing is refunding the money of people who say, I didn't realize that I actually needed to work. I'm telling you now, you will need to work. Oxford University will expect you to work. This is not a PhD program. You're not going to be overwhelmed by any means, not at all. But this is more than coming together and discussing how the world needs to change. No, we already know that. It's us who need to change. And so the work of transforming yourself in order to transforming your society is part of what you're going to want to commit to. I'm going to say one final thing as I sign off. And this, I hope, will kind of catapult everybody into a new level of thinking. I believe that even in movements that seek to do good, people are missing a massive, what I would call world historic opportunity today. And I'm going to sketch that opportunity for you by having you just imagine two teams on a playing field. They could be playing any sport, any game. And one of those teams is wearing a jersey with the word powerful on it. And the other team is wearing the jersey with the words less powerful, not powerless. Remember, each of us has an ego brain, and it is very powerful, that ego brain, right? But socially, from a systemic perspective, the second team is wearing the words, the jersey with the words less powerful. And if all we are doing is accusing one another of being evil and ignorant and crazy, oppressive, selfish, greedy, without actually taking a look at how we are communicating the change that we're wanting to make, then all that we're seeking in that case is that the powerful now wear the jersey of the less powerful. And we, the less powerful, now wear the jersey of the powerful. That's the change we're essentially seeking if all we're going to do is this. And sure, the jerseys have changed. You know what hasn't? The game. The game has not changed. Moral courage is about changing the game. And that is transformation, not change. I hope a lot of you will see fit to join us. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to engaging with you all again, not on January 25th. That'll be Jen and Allison. And ladies, that link is up. Great. I will be holding a chai chat, though, in February. And for those who have not received the calendar of events that the chai chat is part of, please sign up to our newsletter, moralcourage.org/newsletter. And what you get back as an auto response will allow you to then see our calendar of events. And I hope you'll join me for the chai chat in February. Good night.